What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. Today we're going to be looking at singles from the hobby and slabs and what I think the best cards are going into 2025. The cards that I think are going to be the future heavy hitters and the existing heavy hitters that are just going to destroy the market. Hope you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. Okay, first card on the list that I want to talk about today is the Mew from Paldean Fates, also nicknamed as the Bubble Mew. I think it's such a cool card. It's just got a really nice vibe to it, and I like it because it's very iconic. Like, there's nothing else like it, and it's going to be one of those cards that I think people remember, and that really helps contribute to it becoming sort of beloved in the community and doing well in the long term. I think that it's just going to continue to rise up in price as more and more people get behind it. When I first saw the cards on the pre-release for Paldean Fates, I thought it was a cool card, but I didn't realise just how much the community would get behind this card. And like I said, it's just gaining and gaining in popularity. Let's have a look at last sales then. Last sales near mint 309, which is a bit of a discount really, considering it looks like they were going for 350 before then, 305, 322, 323. So anywhere from about 310 to about 340 on the raw side for Bubble Mew at the moment. And then last sold on eBay in a PSA 10 is $1,089. Really cool to see this card breach the $1,000 mark for the PSA 10. If you'd asked me a few months ago if I'd have seen this as $1,000 card at this point now, I would have said no. So yeah, the community's really got behind it, and I think it's a cool card going forward. Another one I want to look at in the same set is actually my current favourite card from the Scarlet and Violet era, which is the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. Again, this is a special illustration rare from that set, and you can see it's just going up and up in price. From the last 3 months, it has gone up 75%, and I have a little bit of proof here. I've been buying them as well. This is one for my collection. This is just a PSA 9. I can't afford the 10 at the moment, but it just shows that it's not only sealed product behind me that I purchase. I'm also getting in pretty deep with collecting and just buying the cards that I want as slabs. You can see behind me as well, just on another note, we've got the Prismatic Evolutions has landed as well. So that's taking pride of place in my collection, and it will sit there for a very, very long time, and I will try my best not to open it. Although I'm having intrusive thoughts that there's a Sunbreon in there. Maybe I'll open it up one day. I don't know. Let's have a look then. Last sales on this Charizard card. I think it's underpriced. Honestly, like I said, this is one of my favourite cards. It's got such a nice dark theme to it. Last sales in a near mint for raw, $200 there or thereabouts, $190 to $200 in raw. I just think it's such a cool card. Last sales in a PSA 10 on eBay, $550. So the PSA 10 is starting to chunk up in price. I just think it's quite undervalued compared to some of the other SIRs that are being chased right now. Yes, I like Bubble Mew, but Bubble Mew double the price of this Charizard? I don't know, you tell me. I prefer the Charizard, so while it's a little bit cheaper, I'm going to keep picking them up. Probably just in a PSA 9 at the moment. If you can't afford the 10, the 9's not too bad. You just have to be careful because coming to sell it, you might get close to raw price rather than 9 price. It's just something to be aware of. Bit of a theme here. We're looking at Charizards that will probably do well going forward. I just think this is super underpriced at the moment. Charizard EX SIR from Obsidian Flames 223 out of the set number. It just seems really cheap to me. I picked one of these up raw from my local card shop a few weeks ago for £40, £43. which is about 55, maybe $60, something like that. We can see the raw price on here is $67. $70, $71, $73. So around about $65, $70 in a raw. I think it's a cool card. I don't think it's the best card, but it's a Charizard. It's an SIR. I think part of the problem with why it hasn't gone up in price much is just because there's been so much Obsidian Flames around at the moment. I think once you start to see Obsidian Flames rotate out of print window, we could see this card go up a little bit more. I think it will do well next year just because it's got a lot of room to grow as well. Last sales in a PSA 10, actually pretty decently priced, $405. Me personally, I only have it in a raw at the moment. Like I said, pick that up pretty cheap. I think you could probably get a PSA 9 pretty cheap as well. I saw someone offering one for like 120, I think it was. No, can't have been. Yeah. No, it was, yeah. £120 the other day on eBay for a raw one. Not raw, sorry, PSA 9 was 120. I thought that was a bit much and you can get a better deal, but I do think it's underpriced and I think it will do quite well going forward. If we have a look at the charts for these last few, some of these have dropped down in price just a little bit over the last few days, but generally we're seeing big gains. Over the last 3 months, this card is up 30%, and I don't really see it dropping below that. I think it's quite cheap, you know, $70 for a Charizard SIR on a new block, I think is more than reasonable. So definitely a pickup from me. The Sunzard. I don't have a Sunzard in my collection at the moment, but it's the next one I wanted to talk about. I'd love to get this card next as one of my next pickups. I don't really want to buy it raw. I prefer to buy things in like a PSA 9 than a raw, just personally, because I kind of like handling my cards and stuff like that. I know you can keep handling singles and put them in binders properly, but I just prefer having them in PSA slabs, just because I can be not worried about me damaging the quality of it. I'll only buy PSA 9 slabs though when the price is similar to the raw price or it's not that much more. It's just luck of the draw. Sometimes the PSA 9s are about raw price and sometimes they're just way off in the distance, so I tend to hold fire on that. I am keeping an eye out for a raw, not a raw, for a PSA 9 Sunzard. It's the Charizard from SIR from Scarlet and Violet 151. You can see it's just going up and up in price. Again, I think it's just one of those iconic cards that's just going to continue to do well. It's been out for quite a long time now, so if we look at the year chart, you can see it just really going from around about this 110, 120 range. September of last year, sorry. And then just really starting to shoot up over the last couple of months. If we go on to the 3-month chart, yeah, it's up 22% in the last 3 months. A little bit of a dip over the last week, but really nothing substantial. Let's have a look at last sales then. Near mint, 264. 264 raw is kind of crazy. That's pretty expensive for the old Sunzard, but it is one of those iconic cards. It's going to be one of the heavy hitters that people remember from Scarlet and Violet, so I think it's going to have a really good year. Maybe I have to pull the trigger and buy one before it just goes to the moon and outprices me. It's already kind of outpriced me. Maybe I'll just get it in a much lower PSA. Maybe try and scope out a cheap PSA 5 or something like that. I don't know. Last sold in a PSA 10, $1,000, and then earlier today that was $1,000 on a buy it now, and then an auction on the same day went for $1,150. So it's got a swing price on it of 15%, even just on the same day. So really interesting. Someone picked one up earlier today as well. This is yesterday actually, sorry, for $960 here, and then again yesterday another one over 1,000. So around about that 1,000 mark for a PSA 10. And then, like I said, the raw is still just climbing up in value, 264 last sale. I want to talk about a few of the heavy hitters from the previous block, Sword and Shield, because I do think they are going to continue to have a good year. Mainly just the big heavy hitters from Sword and Shield, you know, your Girautinas, your Moonbryons, that kind of thing. So we're just going to have a look at how they're moving in price as well. You can see that the Giratina alt art from Lost Origins has gone up 23% just in the last month. This is a 1 month chart here, really starting to come into its own now. It's always been one of the big heavy hitters, and it's just accelerating in price. Are we going to see a return of a run in the market on the Sword and Shield alt arts? I think we might. So we're going to track the prices here on the channel every once in a while. If you're new to the channel as well, I also do analysis every week on sealed product as well. So make sure you keep an eye on that. I hate this when TCG Player goes off screen like this. We can get around it though if we open up a notepad. It's so stupid that we have to do this. So what we will do is all you have to do is copy and paste this text, copy it into a notepad, and then you can see all the prices. So last sales in a raw on the Giratina, 605. Someone got a cheap one there on the near mint, and then previous sales 750, 700, 700. So there's a bit of a swing in price there again, $50 to $100 swing either way on the raw. I guess just depending on demand on the day, really. You get to the stage where cards are so expensive that you're pricing a lot of people out of the market. So you know, sales volume is probably much lower on this card than something like a Bubble Mew that's a little bit cheaper at the moment. Last sold in a PSA 10, that's from yesterday, $1,600 now for the Giratina alt art in a PSA 10. You can see actually even the foreign copies are going up in price a little bit. The Chinese version here in a PSA 10 going for $674, and the Japanese version going for $862. Me personally, if I was going to buy it, I would want to buy it in English. I think it's just a little bit too expensive for me now, the Giratina, but we're still going to track it on the channel because this is all about cards that I think are going to do really well next year. Obviously, I haven't got time to look at everything, so what we'll do is next week we'll look at some other stuff. But yeah, let's move on. Umbreon. What with Prismatic Evolutions coming out, it's really pushed the OG Umbreon, Moonbreon to new levels, which is brilliant to see. Again, probably the most iconic card of the Sword and Shield era. It is the modern day base set Charizard, in my opinion. Maybe an unpopular opinion there. Let me know down below if you agree with that. So let's have a look at last sales data on the Umbreon. Again, we'll just copy this into a document so that we can see it for you. Right, this is the Umbreon. So last sales, 2 sold for $1,888 and then $1,900. That's raw price, near mint, nearly 2K raw at the moment. Absolutely insane. And then the PSA 10 is last sale, $2,875. Kind of crazy that the PSA 10 is knocking on the door of 3K, but the raw is like 2K as well. I just find that fascinating, to be honest. But yeah, one of the most iconic cards and one of the biggest heavy hitter of the Sword and Shield era. I want to talk about the Lugia as well, because the Lugia I still put in that category of heavy hitters from Sword and Shield that will just be remembered for a long time, and I think will continue to do well over the next year. People will FOMO into being able to buy these, I think. I do not have one of these in my collection yet, and I would love one. Again, I think I'm starting to leave it a little bit too long, and I'm just going to have to pay a premium to get it now. but I'm just going to keep an eye. I'm not going to overpay, and I'm just going to keep my eyes peeled for like a PSA 8 or PSA 9 or something like that for my personal collection. But you can still pick them up raw for a fairly reasonable price. It's gone up 61% in the last 3 months. I wish I'd have bought one 3 months ago. And last sold near mint $289, $274. So around about the $280 mark for a nice raw Lugia alt art from Silver Tempest. I don't know why that escaped me. It's in massive letters there. I was just recalling in my brain like what set it's from. It's very funny. Like, I get comments sometimes just like, oh, how could you say this wrong, or you got this set wrong. Like, you guys need to understand that, like, all of these videos I do on this channel, I do in one take, and I'm just talking, okay? Like, when you've got a camera in front of you and you haven't got time to speak, like, I'm always trying to like pre-plan what I'm going to say next as well. So if I do make little mistakes, please just bear with me. You guys know what I mean, honestly. If I mess up like a set name or something like that, I'm trying. Okay, let's have a look at last sold PSA 10 then. PSA 10 is $700, and that was from yesterday. $695, $690, basically bang on $700 now for the PSA 10 Lugia, if you still want one. I want to finish up by talking about the new Umbreon, the Sunbreon, as people are calling it, that everyone is talking about at the moment and is really helping to drive the price of prismatic evolutions up. I know a lot of people are upset about not being able to buy product for MSRP. I am hopeful that there will be a lot more product printed, but I think it's going to be a little while until you see a significant amount of product printed. I would say 4 to 6 months until you see a lot of product printed, just because it takes time to ramp up production and put these things in place. It's not instant. I do know that there are more waves of it coming anyway, sooner than that, but that was sort of before they could gauge how much demand there was going to be for this product. So like I said, I think prices are still going to be a little bit crazy for a while. Last sold on TCG Player for raw is 1750, 1750, 1750, pretty much all 1750. Some of them 1700 here, 1600 from a few days ago, more sort of actually on release day 1600. Now it's gone up to 1750. I think as people are starting to FOMO into it, realize the real lack of product that's available, it's all just getting swallowed up quite quickly. Let's have a look at last sales. And obviously there's no PSAs available at the moment just because it's not been out long enough, so we'll just look at raw price, and you can pick it up quite a bit cheaper on eBay. Last sold today, in fact, on US eBay is $1,240, and that's on an auction as well. So I haven't actually inspected what the condition of that card is or not. You're seeing a few others here sell for $920. Another one today here actually for $1441. So maybe that one is slightly better condition, but we got to keep an eye on it. I think it's really interesting that it is, I mean, $1441 is $600 away from the Moonbreon in a raw. So 600, let's just calculate this out. 600 divided by what was it, 2k for the Moonbreon raw. So it's only 30% cheaper than the Moonbreon, which is kind of crazy to me. I think it's just a little bit overvalued at the moment. I think as more of them get pulled over the next 6 months, we could see it dip down in price a little bit. But if we're talking long term, does it get more iconic than this? Is this the best card? Is this the big heavy hitter from Scarlet and Violet era? I think it might be. So bear that in mind. Let me know down below what you think the Sunbreon's going to do in 12 months time. What are our price targets? I don't know. You guys tell me. If you've enjoyed the content, I also make a lot of content every Saturday. I upload a video tracking all of the sealed market, making recommendations on what I would buy. Sealed product is more my expertise, but as a collector as well, I also buy a lot of singles and slabs, and that's just why I wanted to make this video today. If you enjoyed me talking about singles and slabs, then do a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys like this kind of content, and I'll make more of it because I really enjoy doing it. All right, guys, subscribe down below. Have a wonderful day. Peace.